Hey, this is Knife Standards. Today I'm going to be doing an overview of the Orion Knives Solaris. And this is a knife that I already unboxed, that I've carried a little bit, but I didn't make any videos on it yet until right now. So I just wanted to show you guys this knife and get a quick overview of it done for you, so you can see what it's all about. But first, please follow me at Knife Standards. You can follow me on Instagram, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for a lot more knife content and weekly knife reviews. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and get into it. As I said, I unboxed this a while back, and this originally came with G10 scales. It was black G10, and they were pretty rough. It's not my favorite style of G10. I prefer this super smooth, really kind of rounded chamfered G10, if I'm gonna have G10. And the ones that came on the Solaris were pretty tacky, which I'm sure some people enjoy. When I went to go order this knife, David from Orion Knives, I think he had like 3 left or something in his, pretty sure this was the first production run, and he was nice enough to put in the blue pivot collar for me, put in the blue backspacer for me, and send it over. I was excited to try this knife. It's definitely a budget knife. I forget the exact pricing, but maybe like 70 bucks, somewhere around there. So it's definitely a budget knife, but I thought it seemed fun, sounded like a fun knife to play around with, because it is a button lock. It has multiple methods of deployment. You can do the flipper, you can also do thumb studs, and of course the button is pretty fun to play with. Now, when this came to me, it had the G10 scales on. I bought these raindrop carbon fiber scales from David at Orion Knives. Pretty affordable, pretty good deal. They're really nice scales, much better texture than the G10. And I went to take it apart, and it was going pretty well. You know, button locks aren't the easiest to disassemble and reassemble, but it was going pretty well until I got to the clip. Clip was just impossible to get out of the scale, and apparently this was a known issue. I emailed David, and he said, yep, QSP is the OEM of the Solaris, and David said, yeah, QSP really, you know, threw on a lot of Loctite. It's glued in there pretty good. And, you know, there's a video I checked out where he actually goes over, you know, how to heat it up and take it out. So I tried my best, could not get the clip off, ended up wrecking the G10 scale. You know, I was pissed and whatever. But I emailed him. I said, hey, man, I need a new clip. And he said, why don't you send in the old one and we'll get it figured out. And he was really nice about it, but I thought, no, I gotta just get a new one. So I bought it. It was like $5, $10 something. Got the new clip, installed the scales. It was kind of a pain. Some of the body screws are like free spinning, and they're also, again, Loctited in there really, really seriously, you know, glued in. So that was kind of a pain to take apart, but not a huge deal. I got it figured out. Also, when I got this knife, the action was pretty crap, but it turned out to just be, once I got into the knife, I cleaned it out, and I realized that the pivot was just cranked super tight. So you weren't getting this like clean snap and clean deployment with the flipper tab. And before, I definitely wasn't getting the kind of drop shut action that you expect with a button lock. So anyway, I got it all figured out. I cleaned it up, got the new scales on, and since then it's been a pretty fun knife. It's definitely, again, on the budget side of things. I don't expect it to be perfect, but I also think this is David's first design. I'm pretty sure this is his first production knife. And again, QSP did this. He's coming out with another run of these. Either he just came out with them or they're coming soon. So keep an eye out for that. It's Orion knives. Now, that was kind of my little overview of my, disassembly and kind of what I went through with the knife. I got it figured out. Now let's go ahead and get into kind of my traditional review process. We'll start with the size comparison. Go ahead and start with the Something Obscene Company J-Cape. Ridiculously good knife. Actually very similar sizes. Let's go ahead and get the, I'll move this down a little bit. Let's go ahead and get the Knife of the Year 2021, my pick for Knife of the Year, the EMP EDC Nimble. Also OEM'd by QSP. So these are two QSP productions, of course, different designers. This is John Rusk, and then this is David, I think it's David Cam. So we can see, obviously, this is a medium-sized knife, or at least I would consider it a medium-sized knife. I feel like the Nimble is on the smaller side, and then Something Obscene Company J-Cape version 3.5 is, some would say this is a large knife. I think it's just at the high end of medium-sized. Let's go ahead and get these measured out. We got about 3.5 on the blade for the J-Cape and about 8 overall. And these measurements, they're not meant to be exact. I'm not, I could read the stat sheet and be like, this is 1.725 inches. Do you guys really care about that? I don't know. I don't. So I'm just going kind of with a rough, rough measuring tape. We got about 3 inches on the Solaris, almost 8 overall. And then of course the Nimble is about 3 on the blade and about 7 overall. So again, nice medium-sized knife. Really interesting design. I'll go ahead and get the other QSP made knife out of the way, the Nimble. Let's get that to the side and go ahead and get the J-Cape out of the way as well. Now, as far as the scales go, these are the replacement scales that I purchased. These are great. The texture is awesome. Carbon fiber feels great. It looks really cool with the raindrop. Ergos, pretty damn good. I don't feel the clip. Nice little choil, finger choil here. Good place to put my thumb. Very, very comfortable. No real hot spots. The only thing about the Ergos, if you're behind the finger choil, this definitely feels awkward. So you gotta choke up, and I think that that's what it's meant for. But this is the grip. If you are behind the flipper tab and this little finger choil, it's just not enjoyable. It's not enjoyable to cut stuff, and it just feels a little bit awkward. Like there's not enough to grab onto back here. But up here, super comfortable, really nice. It is a little bit, it's not sharp, it's a little bit rough on the sides of this carbon fiber. But again, budget knife, budget scales, I think they look pretty good and they feel pretty good for what I paid for them. Now, let's go ahead and get the action going. Action, boom, action. Pretty smooth. It has the drop shut action that you expect with the button lock. It also has pretty snappy deployment with the flipper. Action is solid. We have a few different versions. I think he's doing the second run. I don't know what the versions are, variations are for the second run, but for the first run they had, I think, green and red pivot collars and back spacers, so you could choose. They also had, I think, Jade G10 maybe, Jade scales. So it was a cool, you can definitely, kind of customize the Solaris as you see fit. His website is pretty cool. You can get, and also thumb studs work great on this guy. You can get like a disassembly kit. I think it comes with, maybe a couple bit drivers and bits, and it comes in a little, like almost like a Pelican hard case. So he sells some cool stuff, and I would definitely be interested in checking out, maybe not another one of these. I feel like I've had my fill of button locks, but if he comes out with another design, I would definitely check it out. And, you know, the blade shape, we got a nice drop point, flat grind, and we can see, I think they put the, yeah, there you go, put the blade steel, 14C28N, so a nice budget steel. Got the satin blade finish. It came pretty sharp. You know, the thing about, you know, budget knives, and when I say budget, I'm talking about, you know, the 40, 50, you know, under $100. The thing about budget knives, I have to kind of, you know, as a reviewer, I have to adjust my expectations. And, you know, this is not going to be the same quality as the J-Cape. You know, it's just not. So I have to adjust kind of what I'm expecting. And I think David did, especially for his first design, which I'm also taking into consideration, I think he did a great job. It's a cool looking knife. It has solid ergos. This, you know, budget steel, fine, 14C28N. It's good stuff. And as far as action goes, yeah, it's a button lock. That's what it should be. It's cool that you can flip it and use the thumb studs. I'm glad they put thumb studs on it. I like my thumb studs, as you can see from my rock wall. Definitely prefer that to flippers most of the time. And on this one, I don't have to choose. I have thumb studs and flippers. For the downsides, it was a real pain in the ass to disassemble, to get these screws out. One of these body screws I could not get out. It didn't end up being an issue, but it was Loctited in. David did address that. He said QSP, you know, put on too much Loctite and they're going to make an adjustment on the next run of these. But, oh, and I forgot you can also flick it. The blade steel is fine. The kind of the edges, some of these need to be smoothed down on the scales. I'm assuming QSP also made the scales, so that's definitely something that hopefully will be fixed on the next run if he offers aftermarket scales like this. It definitely needs to be smoothed down. As far as the action goes, solid clip. If it's not Loctited on like it was before, the clip is good. The kind of simple titanium clip. Now you can see that it does move. So that bothers a lot of people, and it's not a good thing, but it just didn't really, it's not really a deal breaker for me. It didn't bother me when it was in my pocket. I don't really notice it unless I'm actively trying to move it, but the clip does move. So of course that can be addressed. I think the easiest way is you just add another screw. You know, I'm not a clip expert here, but you just put an additional screw. So there's two, and it won't move because this thing is tight. I made sure to tighten that probably more than I should have. So it should not be moving. Anyway, I think that just about covers it. I guess this overview went on a little bit longer than I wanted it to. I'm sure someone's gonna be like, oh man, this is 13 minutes of you talking knife standards. But yeah, that's what I do. I flip the knives and I talk about them. No, but I appreciate everyone watching, and if you are interested in this knife, definitely check out orionknives.com. I think more are coming. They might even be in stock now. I gotta double check. I probably should have checked before I filmed this video. But anyway, here we go. Orion knives, Solaris, button lock, flipper, thumb stud. Pretty interesting, cool little knife. And hope you guys enjoyed it. Catch you later. This has been Knife Standards.